What is up with it, everyone? Welcome to your favorite podcast on those Monday afternoons, The Bakery, featuring Young Donut, or with Young Donut. The titles always say with Young Donut, but you know, it's the same thing. But basically, featured today, we have a very special guest, dizzkidboogie, a.k.a. Kyle Athayde. Is that how you say your last name? Athayde?
Athayde, yeah.
Athayde. I was so close. So close.
Yeah, no, that's good. Better than most.
It has that spelling to it to where you think you're probably going to say it right, and then you just slightly mess up. So, Kyle, how you doing today, man? How you doing?
Really well. Had a crazy long day yesterday with Genesis Red, but got to sleep in, and I'm chilling.
That's great, man. That's great. Yeah, that's definitely going to be something I'm excited to talk to you about. If anything, I know we were trying to set this up for last week, but now I'm actually I'm really glad we didn't do this last week. You went on the tear the other day.
Thanks.
You went on a tear. So, Diz or Kyle, would you prefer Kyle or do you care? Diz, what do you prefer?
Whichever is comfortable for you.
Sure. So, if you want to give a brief introduction to the viewers that might not know who you are, you want to talk about who you are for a second, go right ahead.
My name's Kyle Athayde, and my tag is dizzkidboogie. I play Ice Climbers in Melee. I've been going competitively pretty seriously for about 3.5 years, although I went to tournaments and always played a bunch and stuff. So I play Melee, I play music, I compose and arrange. I have a band called the Kyle Athayde Dance Party, and we play in New York and some in California as well. I'm just sort of spending my life right now, splitting my time between Melee and music.
That's great. Did you go to school for music at all?
I did, yeah. I was a jazz trumpet player in college, and then I did a year of master's degree as a jazz composition major.
Oh, nice. Where'd you go?
I went to Juilliard.
Oh, wow. Big name. Nice. So
it's all right, you know. The jazz program at Juilliard was pretty young when I started, because I started in 2006, and the program started in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
They've still been kind of going through a lot of changes, but yeah, it was a really good experience. Met a lot of cool people. A lot of the members of my band are people I met while I was in school.
Nice. You still stop by there every now and again, just kind of say your hellos and all that?
Yeah, I do some teaching there, and I used to accompany dance classes there. Juilliard has a world-class concert dance program, especially for modern dance, and I got really into that while I was there, and so I started accompanying there. My band rehearses there often because a lot of my players are actually still in school there.
Okay.
So it's nice to have the free rehearsal space.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds really cool. That's awesome for you, man. So, in terms of Melee, keeping it on the track of what the show might be on, we have you ranked 27th on MioM last year, which is quite an amazing feat, especially the year before that, I think you were somewhere in the 80s or something like that. So a huge, about 50 rank climb all the way to 27th, which was huge. And then this year, I feel you're even doing more than you might have done last year. I can only imagine that you're going up from there. And then in New York City, you were ranked second, and in NorCal right now, you're ranked second. How does that feel?
Oh, it's awesome. The 2015 rank, I was 84, and then going up to 27 was really cool. And the funny thing about those local power rankings, so in New York, the Moon was ranked third behind me, and in NorCal, Shroomed was ranked third behind me. And right after the rankings came out, both of those players got top 8 at Royal Flush, and I got 33rd or 25th or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, they went on some pretty major tears.
Right.
Right after that came out, and I had some terrible tournaments. So it's PR might change pretty soon.
And yeah, that's always something you can watch out for. It always changes from time to time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's still really impressive. And then, so one thing I was even going to ask you about, you seem like you're mainly from NorCal. In fact, your player profile on the MIOM thing said you were from NorCal. However, you still got ranked in New York City. I'm very curious how much do you seem to travel between NorCal and New York?
Since I went to school in New York, my band is based out of there. So I go there a lot to work, especially during the school year, because that's when my bandmates are all in New York.
Right.
And so I'll be there for most of the fall and most of the spring. And then I go home to California for most of the winter and most of the summer.
Okay.
And then in between that, I do a lot of traveling. When I'm on the East Coast, I actually travel more than when I'm on the West Coast. Probably just because NorCal is so far from a lot of scenes, and you can't really just like take a bus to a big regional unless it's like Seattle or LA.
Right.
But in New York, there's tons of locals. So even if I'm away a lot, I could still go to like 4 tournaments in a week. And, you know, I think you need 6 tournaments over a 3-month span to be power ranked.
Right.
And but then I'll take a bus, you know, down to North Carolina or to Virginia or up to Boston or even up to Toronto or like Rochester where my sister lives. So it's easy to do a lot of traveling when I'm out on the East Coast.
Gotcha.
And then, you know, luckily, in terms of any power ranking aspirations, they have so many tournaments that you can afford to sort of be in town for maybe 1 month out of the period and go to enough tournaments that you can get ranked. They also national results into account. And so if you're traveling and you're at Evo and you didn't go to the local because you're at Evo, they still take into account, you know, how you did at Evo. And so I think they both of the regions more kind of think of like who are players who represent them. And in NorCal, I always want to play for NorCal in crew battles. I always want to play for West Coast in crew battles. And I'm originally from California, so I definitely like to represent NorCal in that sense.
Right.
And then as long as NorCal or the West Coast aren't in a crew battle, then I represent New York because I spend so much time there and learned so much playing there. I mean, it was like, I don't know, two or 3 times a week, every week that I would just show up to a tournament, lose to DJ Nintendo, lose to the Moon, lose to Swedish Delight, lose to Captain Smuckers, like lose to Slocks. All these guys, I just kept getting to play them over and over again, and learned a lot from New York. So I really, you know, value my time there and value the people there and the tournaments there. So I do want to represent them and try to like give the New York community a little more exposure whenever I can as well.
That's awesome too. Yeah, you take away something from everywhere you go, right? You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I was actually gonna ask, like, did you ever feel like you have a bias towards one region? But it seems like you're kind of a man of your area. You'll give exposure for whatever is due, and you seem to do a good job representing all of it. And that's pretty cool. That's definitely really
cool. When I travel, people always ask me like, oh, do you miss home or something? And I'm just always really happy to be wherever I am. So if I like when I went to and then I went to London the week after just to hang out. I could have just stayed in those places forever. It was great. And I just loved being there. And then when I got home, I didn't really miss Sweden. I could have just stayed home forever. And then I got to North Carolina last weekend for Badminton Rising to just stay there. And I always really like the places I'm in. There's so many interesting people and interesting things to do. And like as far as Melee goes, there's so many cool play styles that different people have in different regions. And you really see that you go to one area and people sort of tend to play a certain way. So I love to experience all that as much as possible.
Yeah, man, for sure. I would even bring up, you seem to always have, if not represent, a very positive outlook on a lot of things. I feel like anytime I'm watching a video that you're in, you got a smile on your face. You always seem very positive about things. And that's great. Like both the picture, clearly when you get a picture taken, you're smiling, but like I feel like I see this same smile that you do in your pictures even during your play. I think like the biggest one that like really sticks in my head, it was the what was it? It might have been NorCal versus Canada, I think, at like the Big House crew battles or something like that, when Kage came in and kind of did that. But even after he beat you and everything, like you kind of stood up and you were very gracious, very, very happy about it all. And I can definitely see exactly what you're talking about. I feel like I'm not alone with that too. I think a lot of people could see that out of you.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, it's just so many people are so good at this game and it's so fun. And I think I always, for a long time, like the last 6 months, I haven't really been that into singles. And I kind of went back and forth on my mentality towards entering tournaments. And the last 2 tournaments I went to, I went into it like totally not being invested in the results of my matches and not really caring about if I was playing well or not, and really just going into it to have fun and kind of went almost like a spectator. Yeah. And I've gotten to play so many really good players. And when they beat me, it didn't even bother me. Like it was really fun. And yesterday, S2J did a climber all the way across FD, and then he stomp kneed me, and then went for this tech chase. And like all the way he read I roll, because if I did, it would have been the sickest thing ever that he
Right.
did. But I was loving it. I mean, I was down like getting destroyed that stock, and I was having so much fun. I thought it was great. And that's actually something that really helps me, because when bad things happen, a lot of times I would get flustered and start to get frustrated, and then I would start to play worse because of that. And then, of course, more bad things happen, and then I get more angry, and it's just like a really bad cycle. And so these last 2 tournaments, I feel like, even though I don't feel like I was playing very well, I didn't start to play worse because bad things happened. And so that, keeping that consistency allows you to eventually get an opening, and then you're ready to do your punish, as opposed to struggling and being frustrated. And then finally, when an opening comes, you're so mad that you don't even get the punish you can get. So that's been something that's really helpful. And I think always trying to be positive about things is important, especially with people who don't like ice climbers and they don't like wobbling. There's so much negativity that gets thrown at me. It would just be not a good use of my time to try to respond to it with equal negativity. It just would I just try to take everything positively and look on the bright side of all of it.
Cheers to that, man. Always look for the positive side in things. Life's gonna hit you sometimes, but it's how you handle it, So we keep bringing up yesterday, but to those that do not know, yesterday was Genesis Red. Was that that's a Norcal type tournament, right? That happened in NorCal?
Oh, yeah. That was in Berkeley, California, right in the heart of NorCal.
Okay, so some of the big names went out there, including your boy Diz. And this man, let's see here. You got eliminated round 1 in winner's side, right? Or did you start bracket in loser's side?
Like two rounds of pools.
Yeah.
The top 8. Mm-hmm. And I got out of my first round of pools in winners, and then in the second round of pools, my first match was against Dude, and I lost that.
Yep. And then only from there became one of the, you see those videos online of amazing losers runs. This is one of them. We got Dark Atma, we got Laudandis, we got S2J, Asusa. I can never. Azusa. You had your rematch versus Crush, which I was so hyped to watch that. Ice, Shroomed, and then you even took a set from SFAT in grand finals to reset the bracket. Man, I'm clapping for that, because that was such an incredible climb. You look at so many of these names, and every single one of them has, I'm pretty sure, they are no stranger to the Icies matchup. And I'm not trying to sound rude or anything, but I feel like they've played you before and they've beaten you, and they might even understand how you play. But dude, a 2-0, a 3-0, 3-2, 3-1, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. Like, everything was so close, and you literally pulled the H-box clutch. You clutched it out, man. So how fun was that? That must have been great.
It was really fun, and I think it, going back to what I was saying earlier, I went into every one of those sets just happy to lose, happy to get comboed, to get edge guarded. Like, I was ready for every bad thing to happen, and I wasn't. And in the past, something that's helped me when I would be it would be a tense situation in a game, and something bad would happen and I would start to get flustered, I would sometimes say to myself, it's okay to lose. Like, it's totally okay to lose. And I think that was something that was always scary, was that you don't want to lose, and then you start tensing up. But yeah, going into each of these matches, if I got 3-0'd, I was totally fine with that. And so I think it made a lot of those close sets not really feel as tense as maybe they should have felt, having fun and playing. So like the S2J set, I believe that went to last stock on game 5.
Yep.
And the Crush and Ice sets, I don't remember if game 5 was last stock, but it was still close enough that it could have been really tense. And those are times when, especially with Fox and Falcon, if you get tense and you get nervous, you start to do bad rolls or wave dashes or something, and then they hit you, and then you're done for. And especially like Crush, for example, has a really patient play style against ice climbers, but he's always moving really quickly, so he's like close to you, but not doing anything stupid. So if you make the slightest mistake, he'll punish it super hard. And so I think having that mentality made it easy to not do stupid things, because I wasn't worried about. It was also cool because during lots of those sets, different things were happening. When Dark Atma was playing, or when I was playing Dark Atma, Laudandis was playing Chew, and a lot of these players are familiar with my player, have beaten me. Laudandis is someone who I I play with all the time. We used to team together a lot, and we practiced this matchup a bunch, and he's beaten me so many times, more than anyone other than Captain Smuckers, I would guess. Like, he, especially coming up, he just destroyed me. So I was watching him play Chew and hoping he would do well. And then, yeah, S2J, I beat him once last year, but then he beat me like 3 or 4 other times, and he's just so good against ice climbers in general. And then Azusa is a guy who regularly, and then we started practicing the matchup together, and I taught him everything I knew, and he beat me at Evo. So just that one. And then Crush, I had never beaten in tournament before yesterday. I had beaten him some money matches, but he was something like 4-0 or 5-0 against me in tournament.
Now that O has become a single finger. Let's
go. There you go. I've only played Ice twice. I played him at Genesis and beat him 3-1 there. Yep. So this was harder than the Genesis match. So that was fun. And then this was probably one of the hardest sets I've had with Shroomed in a long time. But that was super difficult. And then SFAT and I kind of go back and forth. But lately he's been like slightly doing better. Like I might win a winners finals and then he'll win both sets of grand finals, or we'll split sets or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, like you said, it's a lot of people who I've played a lot of times who are really familiar with me. So it could have been scary if I went into the sets being scared, but I just went into them to have fun, and I did have fun.
That's what matters, man. Yeah, I was gonna even bring up the fact, like, you've played Ice before, you've played S2J before. Clearly, you've played a lot of these guys before, but the mentality game was there, and that was definitely held out in the end, man. And again, big congratulations to that. That was a great win.
Thank you.
Of course. Wouldn't be the bakery episode if D0nut didn't sell out, right? Well, of course, I've got to shout out the homies Mute City Customs for being our show's sponsor, as usual. The best of the best controller modifications and painting company in the biz. And freaking typo, tear the competition in half with how amazing their work is. Send them an order and receive the best controller you could ever hope for. And while you're on their site, why don't you buy some of their swag daddy merch, like a notched t-shirt, you know, like you need for your controller, or a Mute City wristband, and get all those fans to back you up on your next bracket match. And how could I forget, if you want to win a free customized controller from Mute City Customs, head on over to my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/D0nut and click the most delicious follow button in the game, and you will automatically be entered to win.
More information on that will be discussed on the channel in the following weeks.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast. So I guess from that we'll move into a little bit about that, your character being the ice climbers, a big thing that everyone will talk about, that everyone will complain about, myself included. I've been in that boat of wobbling is disgusting. It is a grab to a 0 to death. Granted, the wobbler doesn't mess it up. Do you feel that we've seen a growth in the, if I say acceptance, I feel I'm not saying the right word, but the usage maybe of wobbling has just, it's grown so much more. We're seeing it at top levels so much more. Just back when you could assume like an Icies would try and do like more combos and stuff like that, not assuming they don't, but more or less saying that now their neutral is a lot more based on get this grab, get this wobble, game over, and they'll do that for all 4 stocks. Do you feel that that's grown, or do you think it's kind of always been that way?
I think that certain ice climber players have always had a play style, and ice climber players have had a play style that's not based around grabs. And as the ice climbers are doing better, their play styles are starting to become more prevalent, obviously, because people are seeing them more on stream.
Yeah.
Chew, for example, is a player who's really patient, makes really good reads, has really good movement, and he's just super smart. And when you're a really smart player who makes a lot of good reads, you're going to get a lot of grabs, and he's really good with his grab conversions. So, you know, we see a lot of wobbling from Chew. Nintendo is someone who doesn't wobble quite as much. Well, he doesn't have a play style that's based on grabs as much. Like, he really likes to extend combos with hits. And when I play Ice Climber Dittos with him, solo climber combos that I get are based around, like, I'll get a grab and then I'll go for something that can lead to sort of a horizontal extension or like a tech chase or something like that. But he'll hit me in the air, you know, up air, back air, and continue to just use the disjointed aerials to hit a lot. And he really chases people actually super aggressive. People don't really realize that because they see ice climbers and they just think, camping and wobbling.
Yep.
But Nintendude is a very aggressive player. I think the fact that this year Chew has been doing better than all the other ice climber players, and he gets a lot of wobbles, we see a lot of wobbling. But when Fly was doing really well, he's never been very good at wobbling. It's funny, a lot of people think, Fly doesn't even need wobbling. And he does really well without it, but he's always said that he wants to wobble. He just wasn't good at it.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. And you can tell that in his play style. You see him play, and he wants to do things correctly. He wants to do things optimally. And that's why I learned so much from watching Fly, because he always makes really good decisions, and he always extends combos and neutrals and edge guards and everything to the best of his ability. So it would make sense that he would want to have the optimal punish, but he just always had a hard time with the timing. So it's like he's more comfortable doing those really difficult handoffs than he is wobbling.
Gotcha.
But so when he was doing really well, people would see him and think like, some ice climbers wobble and some don't, but we don't always have to see it. And the wobbles didn't always wobble, especially in the last couple of years. He really doesn't like wobbling. Mm-hmm. And so he goes for swag combos, and he goes for crazy reads and neutral, and he moves all over the place. But he's not really playing that much. So the ice climbers who you see nowadays are the ones who wobble more.
Because it gives them that result too.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's not necessarily that anything has changed with how ice climbers play. I think it's just the ice climbers players who are traveling and playing on streams to see happen to be the ones who wobble more.
And so with that being a thing, another big topic that's come up is a ledge grab limit, the factor of a shortened timer, various little things like that, like this one pisses me off the most, a laser limit, like you hear all these things, and sometimes you start to wonder, like, these aren't just coming from thin air. These are because the metagame is constantly changing and people are getting annoyed with a specific structure of playstyle. And I guess what I was gonna say here, and quite frankly, you've already kind of made me change my mind on it, but I'll get the fact out, is do you think ice climbers could have something to do with this? The fact that they just get these one neutral exchange of a grab and end it by taking your stock, do you think that might have caused some of these things to happen? Especially when you look at, what was it? It was Chewdat versus M2K. There was that one 10-second period that, what was it? M2K's on the platform, Chewdat's on the ground. They stare at each other for 10 seconds, and then Chew gets the grab and it's over.
Yeah, that's So the question is specifically all these ideas of implementing certain limits. Do you think that is partially because of how ice climbers play?
To an extent, not so much only ice climbers, but do you think it's because of the style in which the metagame is progressing in a more play to win fashion, which yes, it's always been, but now with ice climbers really taking it seriously, being wobble heavier in I guess.
Right. A few years ago, when Nintendude or I would do really well at a tournament and we would get a lot of wobbles, people would start talking about, do we need to ban wobbling again?
Yeah.
But I think in the last few years, a lot of people have really gotten much better at the ice climbers matchup. I always try to help people whenever I can to teach them, because I like to see people fight well against ice climbers. And he beat me, and then he beat Chew. Unfortunately, Cobal's set with Chew wasn't streamed, but he's another Fox. I mean, he's my teammate, so maybe I'm biased, but I think he's just the best Fox against ice climbers. Drug Fox has gotten really good at the matchup and has beaten all the ice climbers. So more people are getting good against ice climbers. So now when an ice climber does well at a tournament, the people who said ban and wobbling are now more likely just to say wobbling is so lame, because they've seen time and time again how you beat wobbling. Shroomed and Crush beat Chew at Royal Flush. People kill the backup climber really efficiently. When you see people SDI out of down throw down air, you see people, get out of the tech traps. As people know the matchups better, or, specifically their character versus ice climbers, and they're beating these options better, which are options that very easily lead to wobbles. People are starting to get more accustomed to how the matchup works, and they see that the wobbles aren't just you grab someone and they die. Because if you grab someone at 0, they're almost never going to die unless you have perfect reaction tech chasing.
Yeah.
And so I think people are starting to understand how many opportunities you have to get out of situations that could lead to a wobble. so wobbling doesn't feel as broken. This is just sort of my interpretation of what people think, that it doesn't feel as broken anymore. It just feels lame to them.
Right. So the question's almost...
then with all the other things, with all these other new things like ledge grab limit and timer and stuff like that, these are new things in the metagame that we haven't really seen ledge camping really efficiently for us to understand its weaknesses. We've seen players beat ice climbers efficiently time and time again. Everybody talks about hacks versus Nintendo at pound.
Yep.
And so since we've seen that, we understand where the weaknesses are, and so we're not as bothered by it. But with ledge grabbing, we haven't really seen the appropriate responses yet. So it's not as clear to us yet that it's not broken. So people are like, oh, I don't know, can you beat it? So yeah.
Well, the idea of the invincibility, it just causing all that drama within that. But so I guess what I was about to say earlier was it's not so much that there should really be the ban on wobbling, so much as you should be taking notes on how to avoid these grabs. You should ask the Icies, like, how did you get that grab? What did you do that I didn't do to get that grab? And a lot of it is study the matchup and get better before you before you claim that we should just ban something.
Right, exactly. And like I said, I always try to help people. Whenever I commentate ice climber matches, I try to point out all the things that a player could have done to get out of a situation, or what they could have done to punish the ice climbers. And I did a stream a couple months back, Austin, where Chu beat Mewtwo King and Mango, I believe, at the same tournament, and then had that really close set with Hungry Box of that. And whenever I'm at tournaments, if anyone ever asks me a question, I'm always down to answer it. And as long as I'm not busy in tournament, I'm pretty much always down to play friendlies, although I prefer teams friendlies than singles. But I think asking the ice climber players is such a big, you do these setups all the time. So hopefully we would understand how they work, as opposed to just trying to figure it out on your own. You have resources.
So do you think I'm pretty sure, like, back in the day, there was even there was kind of a variable question being like, okay, we're not going to ban wobbling, but like you can only do it for like blank amount of stocks or something like that. Oh. Do you see that even being that's almost like what they're talking about with ledge grab limit, or what they're talking about with laser limit. They're like, you can do this, but only variable amount of times. Like, do you really think that would be any form of fix?
Definitely not. I think, like I was saying earlier, I think we just haven't seen enough people figure out how to beat these things well enough. They're not broken. There are some time, you'll see like Leffen tweet about certain things where he like points out how weak something is while everyone is complaining how strong they think it is. And Leffen understands the game better than likely all of those people. And so he can see, how to beat that thing. And I think to demonstrate how to beat these things, and then that'll fix it, because we won't have to implement any rule. You just beat it. And I think another important thing is that there are characters who deal with ledge stalling better than other characters. Is going to use ledge stalling. You totally have the option to choose one of those characters that deals with it well. That can't deal with ledge stalling. You're going into a match knowing that if your opponent decides to do this, you don't have a good way to deal with it. Or like laser limits. And laser stuff is silly because you can power shield them, you can shield them, you can punish people for shooting lasers. So I don't think that's one that really should be talked about at all. I think the ledge grab thing is interesting, but everyone gets to choose any of the 26 characters.
Right.
So like a ledge grab limit, unless ledge stalling isn't able to beat every character in the game on its own, then I think there's no reason to worry about a limit on it.
Right. I was even about to say, and then I think I answered the question in my head, how do you even check the laser limit? I'm trying to remember, is there like a projectiles like used thing under the character
it's items thrown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's always kind of crazy to me. Like, I was thinking about that the other day too, when it's like,
sorry, what?
I was just gonna say, like, there's the laser limit, and then it's like, well, what about a peach turnip limit? You ever wonder if that would be a thing?
Right, yeah, and then of course you have like if a falco or a fox is playing against a peach, and they catch a bunch of turnips and throw them, and then shoot their lasers, and then if they threw 3 turnips items thrown over the laser limit, then you have to go back and like watch the whole match and see how many non-laser items were thrown, and that just takes too much time.
It's just all kind of dumb at the end of the day. I agree with you. I think a lot of it just comes down to the player needing to learn the matchup, or sometimes you got to accept like, oh, you weren't playing well in a certain day. Maybe this person got a grab because you messed up the smallest thing. But it happens to all of us. We all play this game that the slightest flaws happen. You get shine spiked, you get rested, you get wobbled. All these things. It's kind of a consequence of the game. You signed your soul to play this game, and if you can't handle the little things, well, it sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess what we can move on to now is a big thing that we talked about a little bit in the beginning. Is you're quite the music man. You went to school for music. You graduated. You teach. The thing that I'm not even too sure about. I tried to. Don't take this the wrong way. I kind of tried to stalk your Facebook a little bit, try and figure out what instrument you play, and I really can't seem to find it. It looked like you played trumpet. Looked like you messed around with xylophones, maybe. What is it you play? So
I play a lot of different instruments, but my main instruments are piano, trumpet, vibraphone, drums, and percussion.
Gotcha.
And then I know how to play a lot of other instruments and proficiency, but I know all of them well enough to be able to write for them and understand level of what I'm writing and understand, how the instrument will get a particular type of sound.
Right.
And that's the most important thing for me in music is writing. I do a lot of composing and arranging, especially for my band. Kind of where my interest in all these instruments comes from is that I write music that uses all these instruments, which kind of makes sense because I don't play oboe or bassoon at all. And I also don't really write for those instruments either, unless I have to. And so, it's I just kind of play an instrument if I'm interested in knowing how it works.
Right. And so, do you what was I going to say? Given the fact you said before that you're a composer, right? You have to write for your band, for any band that you're going to. I would assume knowing all these other instruments, it's kind of like a given, right? You kind of have to know these to be able to obviously write for them, but to be able to be a composer, you got to kind of know all these instruments.
Different people approach it in different ways, and sometimes people will take the instruments. For example, my favorite instrumentation is a jazz big band orchestration, which is 5 saxophones, 4 trombones, 4 trumpets. For me, I use 5 trumpets, piano, bass, drums, guitar. And with the brass section, the trumpets and trombones, sometimes people will just, with 8 or 9 notes, and then just put those notes into the brass. And if it sounds good on the piano, it's very likely going to sound good in the brass. And so in that sense, you don't really have to know the instruments to write for them. Mm-hmm. But if you do know the instruments, then you'll realize that there are some chords that maybe wouldn't sound good on the piano, but do sound good in the brass. And since you know how the brass work, you can take advantage of that. So there are a lot of composers who don't know how all the instruments work, but they kind of know how to get a sound they like out of them. But I think it can only help to know more about what you're using.
Right. That kind of definitely makes sense right there. The more knowledge and the better. Also, shout out to percussion. I was actually a percussionist from middle school up until I think freshman year of college, and then I just didn't.
Wow, that's
time.
Awesome.
I just didn't have time to continue with that. Music isn't my major in college. I'm a communications major, and unfortunately, I do hope to get back into it one day. Drums and you were even saying you play the vibraphone. I think that is such a beautiful sounding instrument next to like the piano. The sound that makes with that little motor running and it's kind of funny. It has like a wobbly sound to it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's awesome. How long have you been playing music? Like since a kid, growing up with lessons?
Yeah. Parents are music teachers, and I have 3 siblings, 2 older sisters, 1 younger sister. They're all musicians. So we had music kind of in the house all the time. And my dad's a middle school music teacher, but he also taught private lessons at home. And then my mom also taught and still teaches Suzuki violin and viola lessons at home. So I always heard music growing up, and I started playing violin when I was 4. Yeah. And I started piano when I was 6 for like 2 years. didn't practice them, didn't like them. But then I started trumpet when I was 9, I believe, and really liked the trumpet. And then once I got to middle school, I just started playing more instruments. I started drums in 6th grade. I started vibraphone in 7th grade. Started bass in 7th grade as well. Started bass clarinet, I think, my freshman year in high school. Mm-hmm. And then, just kept adding instruments. But I've been playing music basically my whole life.
Nice. I feel that. And what was the name of your band again? What was that?
So it's the Kyle Athayde Dance Party.
Where can the people find that? I would even love to listen to that at some point.
So it's the spelling of my name, KyleAthayde, Kyle Athayde Dance Party. We have a website, which is just www.kyleathaydedanceparty.com. We have a Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/Kyle Athayde Dance Party. We have a lot of music on YouTube. We do some videos and then some audio with just pictures.
That's pretty cool.
Athayde Dance Party. It's actually funny. We came from Street Fighter that we were pretty excited because it very quickly got, to 10,000 views and then to 20,000. And eventually it got up to 50,000. And we were like, man, this is so great. Like after a year, we already had 50,000 views and we thought that was great.
And what was this on? I'm sorry, your mic cut out. So I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
Guile.
It did it again.
Guile's theme from Street Fighter.
Guile's theme. Okay.
Yeah. Darn, that's too bad. Has it been doing that?
It does rarely, but you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
No worries.
So it's Guile's theme, and we were up at 50,000 views and thinking like, man, our video has a lot of views. We're awesome. And then about a month and a half ago, or maybe just a month ago, I don't know what happened. I have to check out the analytics, but it was, we immediately got a day, and then the next day we got another 50,000, and over the course of a week, we shot up to 250,000 views. And then in another week or two, we got another 100,000. So now I think we're at 350,000, and it just kind of blew up out of nowhere. So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. But yeah, you can find our music on YouTube and on our website.
And that was for Guile's theme?
That was for Guile's theme, yeah.
That's actually so cool.
We're going to be the album in the beginning of August. We're planning on having it available for purchase at SmashCon, because we're also going to be performing at SmashCon. And that has 6 video game tunes and 4 original pieces.
Nice. Also, real quick, I can give you the real-time update. I just looked it up. Guile's theme is currently at 351,000 views in a year. That's amazing, man. That's crazy. Congrats on that. And it looks like the rest of your videos all have tens of views, or tens of thousands of views. You got 44 on Gerudo Valley. You got 19K on the Mario Kart. Lots of these look video game related. Guys, if you're looking for some cool little video game music, and I could assume originals too, you're saying you're putting those out. Guys, check that out. That sounds really cool. So do you have I'm sorry, what? Go ahead.
I was just saying the Kyle Athayde Dance Party is my passion.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect lead in. I was gonna say, for a long time goal, you have Smash still a part of your life, but I mean, being a musician, I can't see that lasting forever. You have this band now. I could assume this is probably what you're gonna want to aspire after, or do you have maybe another goal in life, maybe being a teacher, maybe being in a live show, something like that? What do you have a long time goal of?
So I don't really have any set goals for particular things I want to do long term. I basically really care a lot about music. I really care a lot about Smash, and I want to do well in both of them. And specifically in music, my main passion is my band, the Dance Party.
Yep.
And then in Smash, my main passion is teams. And so I just keep practicing to try to do better at those things. I really like teaching a lot, and I teach at a lot of camps and workshops, and I go into schools and teach during the school year. I do private lessons as well. I love composing and arranging music. I love performing. So I just keep doing all of that whenever the opportunities come up. But long-term stuff, I definitely want to just keep working with my band and try to do. We've done a little bit of traveling, mostly on the East Coast, but I want to really try to start doing some more touring. Come out to the West Coast and play, do some playing in Japan and Europe. There's so many cool festivals and scenes just for bands in general. But I think our group has like sort of a unique thing where it's a jazz instrumentation, rock and hip hop and like J-pop influences. And of course, there's all the video game music and that connection there. So I really do want to try to do more with them.
Right.
With my band. I think that would be kind of the main musical goal, is doing that. And then, yeah, I just want to keep getting better in teams too. So those are my two things: the Kyle Athayde dance party and
teams. Nice. Nice. So I guess that's all I have in terms of like, I guess, player profile type stuff. Are there any other games that you like you mess around with at all? I know I've talked to speedrunners, I've talked to just other avid fighting game fans. Do you play around with any other games, or I feel like you're more strictly, I'll play my Smash and I'll play my instruments. That might be it.
Yeah, in terms of competitive or even like pretty serious play, right now it's just Smash. I've always loved playing video games though. When I was a little kid, I had a Game Boy everywhere I went.
Nice.
And would play Super Nintendo. I actually played Donkey Kong with my mom. A lot of people met my mom at Genesis. She came to Genesis and she said she wants to come to the next one. And actually she watched me because I had a pretty good run at Genesis. I beat Ice and Smash God and Meds. And I lost to S2J and Plup.
Right.
And Plup, I introduced Plup to my mom. He's a good friend of mine. And I said, he's from Florida, and they talked, and it was very nice. And then we sat down and played, and my mom was watching, and he four-stocked me.
Oh God!
Four-stocked me in front of my mom. So I always get mad at him for that. But yeah, so my mom actually, is funny enough, was like a big part of me playing video games, because we would play Donkey Kong Country together on Super Nintendo. I really like RPGs. I don't know a lot of them really well. Don't have encyclopedic knowledge like a lot of other people do.
Right.
Which would be super cool. I have a lot of admiration for people who put that much time and energy into knowing that much about these games while still doing all their other stuff.
Right.
But I just like playing them. I really like the stories. I play really slowly through games.
Nice.
I talk to all the NPCs multiple times.
You're one of those guys. I like it.
Yeah. I really like Shadow of the Colossus and Eco, but I actually I like getting the trophies for PlayStation Network, and one of the trophies for Ico, I'm just gonna call it Eco. I'll say Ico. I should figure that out though. Anyway, one of the trophies for it is beating the game in under 2 hours.
Oh.
And my first playthrough was 10 hours.
Yikes!
Even if I knew all the routes well and knew the puzzle answers, it would probably still maybe take like 3 hours.
Yikes.
So I started looking up speedruns of it, and it's not like a really popular speedrunning game. There are a couple people who've done it, and like 1 hour and 47 minutes. I think the record might be something like 1 hour and 43.
Oh, wow.
But so I actually started to learn how to speedrun it because I wanted to get this trophy, and I actually figured out some new routes and new little shortcuts that people don't do. And so I was thinking of maybe trying to actually speedrun it. I was actually practicing it a lot for like 2 months. And I never finished the speedrun because I always just worked on each section on its own, like from start to finish. So I never have actually done the whole thing. But I was on pace for 1 hour and a half, which surprised me because I would have assumed that the sort of optimized it. But like I was saying, it's not that popular of a speedrunning game. So I was, I was really excited about that and thinking, oh, maybe I'll work on this. But then I went home and taught at a camp, and then played at a jazz festival and played some Melee tournaments, and just sort of stopped working on it and haven't really done it since. But I still like playing games. I like playing lots of fighting games. I'm really bad at all of them though. Like, people start talking about dragon punches and wake up EX and all this stuff. I don't know how to do any of that. I just like playing Chun-Li and doing the lightning kicks and the spinning bird kick. I like that. Actually, a funny thing, every time I play fighting games, I always grab a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes I choose grappling characters.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, but sometimes I don't really use characters who are like grab-based characters. Like I really like Chun-Li, but my understanding is she's not really like a grappling character. Yeah. But I just always really like grabs, and that's the thing I really liked about Ice Climbers was back in my casual days, I loved Mewtwo. I would throw people off stage and then down air them. It was impossible for them to beat me. It was my strat. And then the up throw is just too good. after they're like 100%, we just kill them. But with I just sort of picked ice climbers and grabbed someone, and I sometimes did my throws with the C stick, and it did a forward throw, but then my backup climber did a forward smash at the same time, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Oh, nice! You found out about the desync.
It was like yeah, I was like, man, these desync, what? That's so cool. You can do multiple things at once. So I just started playing them a lot. And luckily for me, you can play them in a very grab-based way. And it's a lot of fun. And so it worked out well that Melee would be the game for me.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. It's funny, you were just talking about like fighting games that like you just never really know how good you'll be. I was hanging out with a friend of mine a couple days ago, or it might have been a week now, and we were just scrolling through the GameCube games that I have, and we found Digimon Rumble Arena 2.
Whoa.
Oh my god, if I have ever played a game that is so just impossible to move, it just felt so terrible, and my friend is just beating my ass because he's a casual player of just all video games. Like, he's not a competitive Smasher at all, he just plays games with me every now and again, and that's why we were playing that, because it's like you can't play Smash with your casual friends or else it just seems broken. And we're just playing Digimon Rumble Arena, he's just beating my ass, and I'm like, why is this making so much sense to you? This game is so weird. I can't do anything. But that's so funny. I feel that same way. It's just kind of fun to find something you're good at and enjoy it. So
definitely.
I guess as far as my amount of effort goes today, that's about it. We have a good amount of questions here though from our Facebook viewers. So I guess we'll start on the non-live chat just because I got it here right in front of me. From Benjamin Galimatias. I feel so bad. I know this kid's tag too. This is Knight. He's a Buffalo Ice Climbers player actually. So shout out to you, man. Sick. Sorry, I'm butchering probably your last name, Ben. But the question he has for you is basically, what is your practice regimen? Like, what kind of practice regimen do you have? I understand those can be long, extensive. You don't even have to give the whole thing, but like a gist of it. And the second part is, what is the routine that you go through while practicing, whether it be now or at a point where you're trying to improve a lot?
Yeah, so when I was like really trying to learn a lot and improve a lot in my tech skill, just surprise, I practiced wobbling a lot. I would there's an ice climber player called Tomber who's from not Germany, from Norway. I think he's Norwegian. Okay. I might be wrong about that. But anyway, he wrote the sickest guide on wobbling. It's on Smashboards. It's like wobbling everything you don't see. And he talks about how to wobble, but then he talks about all these little intricate things of different BPM and the differences between forward tilt and down tilt, and like different setups you can have. Exercise that I used a lot, where you set a Samus to level 7, and as soon as they walk up to you, they're always going to try to grab. It has all that lag on it. So what you do is you bait out the grab and make sure it misses you, of course, and then you start wobbling them. And a level 7 computer mashes pretty well, so you have to have a pretty clean setup. You don't have to have a perfect setup by any means, but you have them at 0, you have them grab, and you try to wobble them. And what I would do is I would do it 6 stages. I would do it once facing right with a forward tilt, once facing left with a forward tilt, and once facing left with a down tilt. So that's 4 stocks, and you do that on each stage. So basically you do 24 wobbles on this level 7 Samus. And they're mashing
pretty hard.
So you have to get the idea is you press Z to grab, and it's like a synced standing grab, and immediately press A because you've grabbed with the main climber, and the A press does a pummel while your backup climber is still in lag from their grab. So it's Z A, and you just keep practicing that. So I did that a lot. I practiced my down throw down air regrabs. I practiced some of my solo climber combos like up throw dash attack regrab. Practiced tech chasing, wave dashing, short hop up airs. Like I practiced a lot of tech. And the way I practice those is that I would have a certain number I'm trying to do in a row. And like I would try to do 10 short hop up airs in a row in place. And if I do 9 in a row, and then the 10th one I mess up, I would go back to 0 and do it again. And then after I get that, I would start to sort of complicate it, which sounds bad. Like don't overcomplicate it. But I would make it more complicated, where then I would do a dash short hop up air, or a wave dash short hop up air, or a dash dance short hop up air. And you just add things to try to make it a little more natural. I'd practice a lot of desyncs, practice my popo pulse, or for other people, they're nanopulse, depending on your costume, where you have the backup climber jump forward and blizzard.
Gotcha.
The ice block desyncs, a roll desync, a spot dodge desync, a grab desync, just practicing a lot of tech. And I would do that for basically as long as I felt like it. Definitely for a few hours a day, because with my music work, I just compose stuff whenever I want and send it to people online, so I don't have to be somewhere at a job. So fortunately, I had a lot of time to practice that. Studied a lot of videos. I've watched every match that I could find of ChilledCow, Wobbles, Galimatias, and Nintendo. That was my Bible, like those 4 players, because they were always the 4 best. And they all have such different play styles, have strengths. So studying them. At this point, I don't really practice my tech skill as much. I probably should, but because I had a lot of flubs yesterday in the tournament that were not so good. But
so many flubs, he got second place.
Right. Well, it was funny because everything was going well, and then in the second set of grand finals, the jab grab, and I kept doing jab jab or jab forward tilt. So there were a lot of grabs that would have happened that didn't happen. So things could have changed. Who knows? But most of my practice is spent theory crafting and analyzing videos. And I practice teams a lot. I try to meet up with Colin, my teammate, to practice together, and we'll talk about situations, and we'll put on a computer and practice our team combos against it, especially on 20XX. That's really good because, of course, they're DIing. I'll just analyze videos and think. It's always with an ice climbers in it, just because I'm still trying to learn more about my character. There are things I can apply from other players and other characters as well, but I watch a lot of my matches and think, what could I have done better here? What was good here? Why was it good? What could the opponent have done differently, and how do I need to account for that? Now I just do a lot of analysis and theory crafting and not as much tech skill practice. But I'm probably going to try to get back into practicing my tech skills since I found this new mentality thing of how I can like playing singles. I've always sort of felt like point for me kind of comes down to tech skill. Whereas doubles, there's still so much stuff I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot I don't know about singles, but doubles is just so vast that the tech skill isn't really what's kind of holding me back right now. So that's why I've lately been more into the analysis and theory crafting. But yeah, that's the short answer.
Gotcha. No, that's pretty good. I think that's a damn good answer to that. It's very funny. I think within the other interviews I've done, that question kind of gets asked a lot, like, oh, what's your practice regimen? What's your practice regimen? And it seems a lot of these are very, very similar. Like, practice this very basic but useful tech option over and over and over. Now implement this change over and over and over. Did I mess up once? Start over and over. And then, like, of course, the video studying thing, everyone like lists their as you were saying, like your Bible viewers, like your worshippers, basically. I think I interviewed Two Saint, and he was saying something like that. Like, he would watch H-Box, Psycho Midget, Prince Abu. Like, he would watch all those guys and just study what they're doing, because clearly they're the best. Like, you want to try and be one of the best, like all those players want to be. And I think I see a very similar thing here. So I think people should probably start expecting that type of answer. It seems legit.
Yeah, right.
So our next question's from Cody Way. Here's another guy. I know him, but I feel like I'm butchering the last name. It's, I don't know, Code Man. He's asking, how do you balance / juggle work, music, and Smash, and anything else that you pretty much do? Like, how do you balance all that?
Well, luckily for me, work is music and Smash. So music and playing Smash, and writing music and teaching music as well. So I don't have to have a job outside of those. So I can really spend as much time on those two as I want, and it's me doing my job. I don't know. I think I'm literally always thinking about music. I always have music in my head, even if I'm not playing it or writing it.
Gotcha.
Spend too much time doing music on its own because it's just always something that's in me. So then I have kind of as much time as I want to do Melee. I want to hang out with friends or read about math or science or do Sudoku or Hayawake puzzles or whatever. Like, the way I worked on music has always been very natural and very easy to multitask with. So it leaves me a lot of extra time to do other things. It is tricky though, because my band, we could be doing a lot more gigs, but I was always averse to like the music business and doing my marketing and promotional stuff and booking gigs and emailing venues and all that stuff. Right. So I am trying to learn to dedicate a little more time to that, so that, because I think the players in my band are so great. I think they're the best players in the world, and people really like hearing them play, and I kind of owe it to them to do better about getting gigs. So I'm trying to, to reach out to more venues and do a better job of all that stuff. So that's something that I wasn't so good at balancing, but I think that's helpful. And then I think also, again, I'm just so excited about this mentality thing. I keep talking about it, but this new mentality thing of like not being invested in the result and like being just happy to lose and going into a tournament, not caring what happens, is really helping me with my Melee time as well. Because if I don't feel like playing, then I don't play. And if I do feel like playing, I do, and it's going to be productive. I'm never going to be playing and then just be getting mad and like, so I think I'll be using my time much more efficiently now.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. Sounds pretty good to me. So our next question comes from Dan Schofield, aka Mac Gruber, another Buffalo Dr. Mario player, super homie. He's wondering, what do you think about people's / crowd's attitudes about wobbling? I know we kind of answered this, so I guess this one can focus more on like, how do you feel about when you're on stage and you get the wobble, and of course every now and again you're either going to hear, I feel like it's literally only one of two things, you hear either a boo or you've got the crowd behind you and they're like, yeah, he's got the wobble. How do you feel about all that?
It's funny, so in the times when I was most serious in a bad way, in terms of like poorly and all that stuff, I would get boos a lot and I would just sort of ignore them, but no one would ever really root for me, and that kind of made me feel bad. And yesterday the crowd was really behind me a lot. It was super cool, but unfortunately I didn't have that same like passion for doing well in singles. I kind of didn't care how well I did. So then I think I wasn't able to appreciate the crowd as much, because it was actually really cool that I thought about how I go to these tournaments and I travel all over the place and I'll play against local players and the crowd will get hyped for their local players. And I think that's so cool that they have people from their region supporting them while they're playing. And I would go to tournaments and not really have people rooting for me, like some friends in California, but I would never be at a national and just have one big fat section of the audience be like, who's like rooting for me. And so that was something that it would make me sad when I would reflect on it outside of a tournament or after a match. I think I just kind of ignore it, and it doesn't really bother me when people are rooting against me. Although I do specifically remember playing None at Don't Park on the Grass, and I actually haven't really talked to anyone about this, I guess because no one asked. But when I was playing him, and he put on the skill tag and changed to Ganon and was taunting a lot and trying to super disrespect swag stuff. And the crowd was, every time I would get a wobble, they would boo me. And every time he would get anything on me, they would cheer for him. And I felt like it was really rough. And the crowd they were not nice. And but during the set, I really concentrated on not letting it bother me and just trying to play well and not worrying about what people thought. Like I just win, don't make a scene. When he unplugged and walked away, I didn't want to pop off or or turn to the crowd and say something or anything because I don't want to make a scene. I just want to play, and I understand that people have things they really don't like in the game and it makes them react a certain way. And as long as they're not truly hurtful, then I try to just empathize with them. But after the set, I definitely took a walk, and I was really sad about the crowd because it was like, I feel like a lot of times I'm playing my heart out and trying my hardest, and all I'm trying to do is just play the best that I can. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. I'm not trying to be lame or taking this character that I love and trying to be optimal with it.
Right.
And people get so mad about that and are really mean about it. And sometimes time periods where it got to me a lot, and I just kind of don't want to say depression because I think that makes light of people who actually deal with depression. But it was like a month-long period of just being very sad about the game, just because of how people would treat me. But at this point, maybe even in the last 6 months, it just doesn't really bother me anymore. I know I have a lot of friends who support me and like to watch me play. I know that there are always going to be people who don't support me and don't like to watch me play. And the crowds, you never know who's going to be in the crowd. So I don't really let it get to me. Amen on the person I'm playing with and on myself. And it doesn't really matter too much to me.
That's awesome. At the end of the day, man, you definitely have fans behind you. So I would never let that get to you, man. You got friends behind you. You sound and pretty much have a record of being a great person regardless. So it's like, he wobbles, you get the hell over it. He's a great guy. So I guess our next question, what we have here from Malcolm Toffolo, aka Airwave, asks, who is your favorite jazz artist and who is your favorite contemporary? Also, Stanford sucks, go Bears.
Oh no. Oh man. My mom went to Stanford, so I've been a Stanford fan since I was a little kid, and a lot of people think I went there because I always wear the shirts. I wish I went there.
I got you.
I actually have a lot of respect for Cal. I actually wrote the halftime show for the Cal marching band in the Cal Stanford game. I think it was 2014.
Holy moly.
I'm really good friends with a lot of members of the Cal band, and the Cal band director and I have taught at some camps together, and I've like taken classes at Cal and done a lot of performances there. So it's pretty funny. As much as I'm a really big Stanford fan, I like Cal a lot too. I think it's a great school. It's one of those rivalries where it's not really hate. It's just like, oh, Cal sucks.
Right.
Like it's not like Michigan and Ohio State, because my sister went to Michigan. I'm a Michigan fan too. That is hatred. Those people hate. Rough. I try to be nice to people when I see them in an Ohio State shirt, but it's hard for me. It's hard for me.
Gotcha.
But I couldn't choose one jazz artist, but a few who have really for a long time always been my favorites, big bands. And Duke Ellington is my favorite big band. He and Billy Strayhorn do all the writing. And yeah, they're just amazing. So I love Duke Ellington. I love Stan Kenton. I've recently been listening to Don Ellis, who had a large ensemble with like strings and French horns and electronics and regular big band setup. And his stuff is sick too. He had a lot of composers working for him who had also worked for Stan Kenton, like Hank Levy, for example, is one I really like. So I just love a lot of big band stuff. I also really like Louis Armstrong. Always love Louis Armstrong. Charlie Parker, John Coltrane. Yeah. Saxophone player, bass clarinet, flute player named Eric Dolphy, who is really sick. I've liked his music a lot. It's kind of out there though. Bunch. Sick. So I like all those guys. And then contemporary stuff. There's a group of bands actually in the San Francisco Bay Area called the Jazz Mafia.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The big band is called the Realistic Orchestra, and they're sick. It's a hip-hop jazz band. They were one of my early influences in starting my band. A lot of the music I write is inspired by them. And the two guys who run it are Eric Garland, who's a drummer and a really great composer, and Adam Thies, who's a trombone player, also a great composer. It's funny, now that I think of it, the drummer composers is a big thing for me, because the other contemporary group I really like is the John Hollenbeck Large Ensemble. And that is also a big band, and John Hollenbeck is a drummer, and he writes the music for them. So I think they're really sick. Do a lot of pop music or like current rap stuff. I really like the song Rigor Mortis, but I don't like Humble. And I think the thing that gets me on hip hop tracks is the production, like the backing music. Yeah. If that's really cool, then I really like it. And if it's not, then I'm not so into it. So what was funny was the first time I heard Thug's Mansion was on Magic Scrumpy's Young Link combo video, which I think is awesome. I love that video. And
whether it's fake or not.
Exactly. I don't even care. I love it.
It's a great video.
And the music is this remix by, I don't know if it's BK Nap or B Nap, but anyway, he remixed Thug's Mansion and put this really cool string thing behind it and with this great beat. and I love it so much. And I was like, I love Thug's Mansion. I'll listen to the original, and I don't like the backing track on the original. So I'm like, I don't know about this song. I'm just gonna keep listening to the remix. So that's always a thing for me with pop music in general, is that I don't really listen to lyrics that much, which is such an important part of the music. So I feel bad that I miss out on it, but I'm just always hearing the notes of the instruments behind it. So that's a big thing for me. And I haven't really found any artists yet, contemporary artists anyway, who consistently have instrumental music behind their singing. But I do really like J Dilla and Nujabes, who are obviously not contemporary because they're not alive, but
they're great.
They're close enough to being current that I think they're worth listing. So yeah, that's a music taste from the jazz and the contemporary stuff. Also, J.S. Bach, the greatest composer ever, my favorite. And he's not jazz or contemporary, but he's the best.
He's just amazing.
Check him out.
He's a legend. So, moving into our second, I don't know. We got another question here. Will Hoffman, aka Pig. He has two questions. First one, kind of silly. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Pokemon is Mewtwo.
Nice.
Because that was, like the final challenge in the game was like, can you catch the Mewtwo? And in Melee, I thought he was super cool. Yeah, he's just so strong.
Yeah. And then I guess the
it's
second
cliche, but I like him.
I guess the second question here. I know Will, and I can't quite tell if he's being serious or if he's joking. I'm going to assume he's joking, but is the optimal Puff Icies matchup always going to end in a timeout?
He might not be joking. Yeah. Actually, now that I think of it, I don't know if I've ever played singles with Pig. We've played teams quite a bit, but I don't know if we played singles. But don't think...
Probably not.
I think most matches that end in timeouts are just because one or both of the players isn't confident enough in their approaches and in what the openings are, which is why Ice Climbers get camped so much, because a lot of people don't understand the character. And so there will be an opening, but they won't take it. And that's something that I really admire about Shroomed. He's really not liked Ice Climbers for a long time, and he didn't really know the matchup that well fighting. Like, he doesn't camp against Ice Climbers. He keeps trying to go in. And I remember we were playing at a foundry, and he enjoys himself at the foundry. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
And and it was the stadium transformation, the rock transformation. I was in the pit. He was off to the side, on the right side, and we were both just standing there. And someone said, "This is boring. Go in." And he smiled, and then came in and fared my shield and got wobbled.
Nice.
And but he just always wants to fight, and he's always trying to figure out the neutral and figure out where the weaknesses are, as opposed to just hoping I make a mistake while he stands on the platform or something. And because of that, he's gotten really good at the matchup. Like, the set we had yesterday was by far the hardest set I've played against him. And I thought I played really well and made a lot of good adaptations, but he was just playing so well. And then I think the last 2 or 3 times they've played, he's beaten Nintendo quite a few times now.
Yep.
He's really figuring it out. And he's figuring it out by fighting and trying to see how these interactions play out, as opposed to just sort of camping. So I think optimal play, it comes down to rock, paper, scissors interactions.
Right.
A lot of the timeouts, the interactions are slow enough that you don't really have to rock, paper, scissors. You can actually just see the opening and take it, but people just don't understand quite well enough where the openings are.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So at least for now, I'm sure Super 20XX optimal, maybe things will time out. Yeah. But for now, I think optimal play does not need to end in a timeout.
Awesome. I'm glad you were able to actually answer that. So, and then our last one on the wall here is from Toussaint. He is asking if you have a favorite musician within the Smash community, of any that you know.
Musician in the Smash community. I think I don't know any of his work except for one song, which is called Where You At? But it is the Luigi main from Norcal, Hugger Mugger. That was going around on SoundCloud for a while. Let me make sure I have it right, because everyone should hear it. It's a great remix, mostly of Fountain of Dreams and a lot of sound effects. Hugger Mugger, Where You At? And that should be, result. It's on SoundCloud, and it's really great. It's really great. And I heard his I was at a foundry, and they were announcing matches, and they were like, Hugger. And I was like, wait, Hugger Mugger? He's like, the Hugger Mugger? And I went up and talked to him. And it's funny because I'm a professional musician and it's what I've been doing my whole life. But I like to, like nerd out over people with their music. So I heard this one song of his and I went up to him. I'm like, are you Hugger Mugger? I love your music, blah, blah, blah. But I've only heard this one piece. So I don't know if he does more. We haven't really talked a whole lot about it, but that's a really great piece. So Hugger Mugger, where you at?
Nice. Shout out to Hugger Mugger. Where you at? Where you at, man?
All right. Shout out to him.
So that's it for the wall. I guess the live chat, we got I think maybe 2 questions in here and then just some shout outs to you actually.
Cool.
Hunter Ford, he started off by saying
Nice.
he said you're a nerd, Diz, but then he says, when are you coming back to PGH?
I want to go back to PGH so much. For people who don't know, PGH is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was, I think, one of the big reasons for my improvement.
Yeah.
A huge reason for my enjoyment of Smash. I went to Fight Pit 5, which was in the fall, I believe.
Yeah.
And that tournament, I 5th and off of Hungrybox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was November of 2014. So I almost took game 1 from Hungrybox and had a crazy set with a bait. I lost 3-1, and the one I won was against his Falcon on FD, but the games were close to 1 leads in 2 of them. And so it was a really hyped set. So that was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And I beat Prince Abu 3-0 there. And I was wobbling a lot. And the crowd was singing while I was wobbling. I had gone to a couple of locals in the days before. And the first one, they're like, who is this guy? He's wobbling all of us. This sucks. We hate wobbling. Pittsburgh is the coolest region. All their players do the coolest stuff. If you guys haven't seen No Fox Given and No Fox Given 2, No Fox Given 3, the Carroll, PGH Carroll, he does the sickest combos. He's so good. And all the Pittsburgh players, Nakamaru, the Lake.
Didn't Naka change his name recently to just Naka now? I think he's.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think he did. I went to Fight Pit 7, and I think I overheard someone asking him, they're like, why aren't you Nakamaru anymore? And he's like, I just wanted to be a little less weeb or something like that. And I think I overheard that. I could be wrong. Hunter, if you're in the chat, awesome. you could clarify that for me because I know you're out there. But yeah, I think I heard that somewhere. But yeah, everyone should definitely check
all those
out those
players.
videos.
Those players, they're all so cool. They're so good. They love the game so much. And over that weekend, they're the region that was most man, wobbling sucks. We don't like this. This goes against how we think the game should be played.
Yep.
And in only 2 days, they welcomed me. They were my best friends. They were cheering for me, except when I was playing a bait, of course, which is understandable. I would have cheered against me too. But bait's one of my favorites. He's so cool. His combo video, the scoop sauce, that one was great.
Yep.
But really welcomed me and they're just such homies. And that tournament was kind of a big tournament for me because it was VGBC was streaming, and so it was a good exposure, and a lot of people started to know about me. And then I went back for Fight Pit 6. And that one, I had a good losers run where I beat a bait, Hugs, None, and Duck. And that was another tournament where it was a lot of exposure for me. Again, it was VGBC stream. So that was really cool. And yeah, the Pittsburgh scene is so great. I love them so much. And I go back. I've gone for a couple of their monthlies. An SSBM tournament was one. Mm-hmm. It was just the name of it. And then 200 BPM. I went to that one, of course. Couldn't miss that.
You have to, yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I definitely want to go back. I'm probably going to try to go back in the fall because I always like to do a little travel thing leading up to Big House or after Big House, where I kind of make my way from New York to Michigan, stopping at a bunch of tournaments in Philadelphia, State College, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Akron, stuff like that. Right. So I might try to make it out there again because I love that scene so much.
Awesome. Shouts out to
I'm in their spam chat. We have a spam chat, and they move way too fast for me. They're 200 messages a minute, so I miss all of it. But I try to contribute when I can.
Shout out the whole PGH Neo area. What is it? It's Pittsburgh, New England, and Ohio. They are great. They were a lot of fun to show
Pittsburgh and Northeast Ohio, but they recently the Facebook pages have split.
Really?
And Northeast Ohio has their own as well.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably good for them too. You know, have their own little room. So scrolling down the list, Nico Ryo Beat, you may know him.
Ryo Beat.
He gives you a little shout out. He says, "I love you, Kyle. You're a cutie," with the heart eyes emote.
Nico's so nice. Nico is another one of those people who beat me all the time, and he and Captain Smuckers are probably the two who most saw my ranges of emotional states in terms of my mentality. Mm-hmm. That's with Nico, where I was getting frustrated during the set and being all unhappy, and then I would apologize to him afterwards, and then I would just do it again the next set, and I would just keep losing and keep getting frustrated, and he was always very patient with me. So I'm looking forward to playing him again with this new mentality, because I'm digging it.
That's great.
So thank you, Nico.
I've never gotten to meet Ryo Beat either. I've been down to Long Island before to hang out with a couple friends, but from what I've seen with Ryo Beat too, he seems like a really upbeat, nice guy from his posts in the New York City chat.
Absolutely, yeah.
All that stuff. He seems like a great dude. Scrolling down even further, Alex DeFlori. He says, "Tell Diz that Elu, the Rochester Luigi main, says hi. You had a great run at Genesis Red, man."
Yeah, he's awesome. He's been improving a lot. Like, I played him, I don't remember if it was like his first tournament or he was just starting, but I was going to a Rochester tournament. My sister lives there, so I was just going to the weekly, and wouldn't give me a ride, so I picked him up and we played, and he was very new and learning stuff. And then I went back a few months later, and he beat like everyone except IBDW. Like, he just is the second best player there now. And I guess now that Cody's not there anymore, he's probably number one. And yeah, he's improved so much. It was so hard for me to fight him that last time we played. So yeah, shout outs to you, man. Good to hear from you. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. I'll be in Rochester probably in like early September or something like that.
Nice. So scrolling down even further, we got Gavin Morris. He posted a lot of stuff, but I guess I'll sum it up with the first thing he posted was a dizzkidboogie Craigasm. So that seems pretty accurate on summing up a lot of what he was saying. Ben letting me know that I definitely butchered his last name, but apparently everyone does it. Hunter went on to say, "God, Kyle, and Colin are team wholesome."
I do love Colin very much, and he's staying with me this week so we can practice for Fuse.
Oh, nice.
Sunday we got in. I think we're going to be the 7th seed unless Hungry Box and Mewtwo King drop out, in which case we would be the 6th seed. But either way, I'm super excited for it.
That's awesome, man. You got Jeffrey Williamson, a.k.a. Axe. He stopped by the chat to say, "I was so hyped watching Diz at Genesis Red. Let's go, Kyle."
Yeah.
Shout out to AZ. Shout out to Axe. Super
Axe's ice climbers are potentially the sickest ice climbers on Earth.
Really?
Whenever we're at tournaments together, we always do like teams money matches and teams friendlies of double ice climbers.
Oh, God.
And I'm the support and he's the carry. He just goes in, perfect wave dashes, crazy pivot desyncs, crazy handoffs. I mean, he's so sick. I mean, he's sick with every character, but
he really is.
I have a special love for his ice climbers.
There's like, this is a slightly on the DL type thing. I was streaming Smash about almost probably a month ago now, and I got really bored, and someone in my chat told me to practice basically like Scar Jump Bears with Young Link off the Yoshi's Story wall and just see how many I could get. And I think I got like 7. And at that moment, I'm pretty sure that was like the world record for how many like anyone's done with Young Link, doing like the you jump off, reverse arrow, grab it, and then just do the back airs or whatever. And I was super hyped on that. I was like, oh my god, this is a clip. This is amazing. I got a world record. And at the time when I finished streaming, Axe was streaming. So I clipped that moment and I was like, hey Axe, whenever you have free time, why don't you try and beat this? This would be really funny to see you do. And he was like, well, I'm about to wrap up my stream, but I guess I'll give it a shot. He tries for like maybe less than 10 minutes and he gets 9.
Oh my god.
I was just like, you know what? This is over. My life has just ended. Thank you, Axe, for ruining the one thing I had going. It was so funny. I lost it.
says. You know, there's levels.
There are so many levels. Oh my God. I felt so good, and then oh my God, he got 9. Oh my! I encourage you, go ahead and try that someday whenever you have time. You can find the clip on my YouTube or whatever, and it looks so easy, yet it's really not. But then, then it's just easy apparently, you know, you just act. Hunter Ford wanted to let you know the next Pit Smash Presents is September 16th. If you need a reason, so if there's ever that. He also says, "Let's go spam chat." So
yeah, spam chat, love it.
And I think this is probably the last one. Alex Jang, he says, I just want Diz to know I 3-0'd Sweet the next time I played him after Diz trash talked me during a $20 money match versus Sweet.
That was actually at Hunter's tournament that he was hosting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was actually really funny because Johnny Gamble, who's from Philly but now goes to school in Pittsburgh, and he's like helps run the tournaments there. We were riding with Hunter. No, we were riding with Genghis Connor to Pittsburgh after that tournament. So we were like trying to see who gets shotgun because it was like, you know, 2.5 hour drive or something.
Right.
And so we played a best of 1 match for it.
Oh God. And
he was Sheik, I was Ice Climbers, and and I said you can choose the stage. And so we went to Battlefield, and I JV5'd him.
Oh my God. The savage.
So that's how I really wanted shotgun.
Hunter actually just said in the chat, I have that JV5. Oh golly.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
All right, well that's gonna wrap it up for us here at the bakery. I'm out of questions. The chat has said all they had to say except for one. What is this? It's a happy face with the tongue out from John Hatamaya. I don't want to butcher that, but
John Hatamaya.
Yeah.
He is. Oh wow. Okay, so it's funny when someone asks who's my favorite musician in the Smash scene. I was thinking about Smashers who also play music. And okay, who are people who go to a lot of Smash tournaments and then they have music as like a side thing they do. But somehow I didn't think the other way around, who are musicians who have Smash as a thing they do.
Yeah.
Chat, you must check out John Hatamaya. John Hatamaya is he's a Luigi player, but he's a sick trombone player and a sick composer. He has a SoundCloud page. He's got lots of stuff up on YouTube. He and I are actually playing a gig tonight up in Davis, which is where he's from. Hey. He lives in LA right now. He goes to the Thelonious Monk Institute. He's ridiculous, like one of the best trombone players in the world. And he and I, we write music in very similar ways. We talk to each other a lot about different like harmonies and voicings and stuff. I love his music so much. Yeah, John Hatamaya, Hatamaya.
That shout.
John without you guys definitely listen to him. He's awesome.
Nice. Well, I'm glad we got that little bit.
Smasher musician.
Yeah. Definitely glad we got that in. So I guess thank you, Kyle. Really appreciated it. This was one of the rather long interviews. Hope that didn't bother anyone in the chat. I had a lot of fun with this. This was a great time talking to you. Hope you enjoyed yourself.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you.
That's great, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, if you want to shout anyone out, you want to tell people where they can follow you, you know, any of that good stuff.
Oh, sure. So my Twitter is at dizzkidboogie. And everyone should always know my name is all lowercase. Sometimes people capitalize the D or the K or the B or something, but all lowercase. So that's my Twitter at dizzkidboogie. Again, really definitely want to shout out my band, Kyle Athayde Dance Party. That's Athayde is my last name. Yep. KyleAthayeDanceParty.com. You can download all our music for free. There's a little donate button if you feel so inclined. And we have stuff on YouTube, our Facebook page. Just look up Kyle Athayde Dance Party. We're going to be performing at SmashCon.
Oh,
so
nice.
If you didn't already have enough reasons to go to SmashCon, which is an awesome event, I love it so much. Now you have the most important reason is to go hear my band. And again, we're going to have our CDs for sale there. A band, John is the lead trombone. John Hatamaya, he's the lead trombone player in my band. It's I love my band, and I think you guys would too. So you should check them out.
Yeah, and I'll ask you to send me a link to your stuff, and I'll post when I edit this, because I always edit everything down for the YouTube VOD. I'll put a link to all your music stuff in the description, so everyone, if you need those links again, everything will be down below. You can definitely click on those and definitely support the Boogie Master.
Yeah, awesome. And then the only other shout outs I want to do are, because I love teams so much. I want to give a big shout out to my teammate, Colin Colball, he's made a lot of sacrifices in his personal life to make sure that we have the opportunities to practice and compete. And yesterday we secured our spot in the Fuse circuit. He flew out here from Florida just to come to this tournament. And if we didn't go to this tournament, we were not going to get in. So he's the man.
Wow.
I love him a lot. He's my teammate and he's so awesome. And then the other person who I got to spend some very meaningful melee time with yesterday was Zach Cordoni, SFAT, who taught me so much about teams and gave me a lot of confidence in teams. And he was the first person who was like, I think ice climbers can be great in teams, and I think you can be great in teams, Kyle. Let's do this. And he would just play teams friendlies with me all the time. And he would call me and be like, hey, I'm thinking of going to this tournament, but I don't really want to go if I don't have a good teammate. You want to go to the tournament and team with me? And this was like a couple years ago when I was really not doing anything. Right. And he just had faith in me. So shout out to him too. My two Fox teammates, I love them both and they're awesome. I'm super happy that Zach won the tournament. I'm super happy that Colin got top 8 and that Colin and I did well in teams. Happy. It's a happy time.
That's awesome, man. Yo, shout outs to Colin and Zach. Also, 2 people I hope to eventually get a hold of them. I'd love to interview them in the show as well. So definitely big shout outs to them as well, SFAT and Cobble. Great teammates, great players, great people. Diz, again, you're definitely among that list, if not definitely the S tier of the happy sounding great people. Thanks again so much for coming on, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This was The Bakery. Everyone, I hope you have a great rest of your Monday. Take it easy, guys.